Today's topic pleura and mediastinum. Pleura is a mesothelial surface lining of the lung. There are two pleural sacs, one on either side of the mediastinum. Each sac invaginated from its medial side by the lung. Each pleura has two parts, parietal and visceral layer. In this diagram, you can see the thoracic cavity divided in three compartments, two on each side, right and left lateral, occupied by the lung, and the middle occupied by the mediastinum. In the lower diagram, you can see the lung occupy in the lateral compartment of the thoracic cavity, and it is lined by the pleura. Embryologically, you can see the invagination of the lung bud in the pleural cavity. Green color lining, you can see the serous sac and the lung bud enter from the medial side. The lung bud enter into the serous sac, and you can see there is an invagination, and it is invaginated, and there is a visceral pleura. Outside pleura, there is a parietal pleura. You can see here the complete formation of the lung, and in between the visceral and parietal pleura there is a pleural cavity in which the pleural fluid present, which prevent friction between two layers during movement of the respiration. So there is embryologically, you can see the development. The parietal layer, it lines the inner aspect of the thoracic wall. It covers the thoracic surface of the diaphragm and lateral aspect of the mediastinum. It extends into the root of the neck to line the unturned surface of the suprapleural membrane. There is a subdivision of the parietal pleura: cervical, costal, mediastinal and diaphragmatic. In this diagram, you can see inflated lung, cervical pleura, costal pleura and the diaphragmatic pleura and mediastinal pleura. This costal pleura, it lines the inner surface of the thoracic wall. It consists ribs, costal cartilage, intercostal space, and where it is loosely attached by a thin layer of the loose areolar tissue, which is called endothoracic fascia. In the cervical pleura, it is dome of the parietal pleura which extend into the root of the neck, 2.5 cm above the medial end of the clavicle and 5 cm above the first costal cartilage. And in the diaphragmatic pleura, it covers the superior surface of the diaphragm. In quiet respiration, the costal and diaphragmatic pleura are in opposition to each other. Mediastinal pleura, it lines the corresponding surface of the mediastinum and form its lateral boundary. It inflated as a cuff over the root of the lung and become continuous with the visceral pleura. On other side, you can see the collapsed lung. You can see here there is a pleural cavity between the visceral pleura and the parietal pleura. In this diagram, you can see the cervical pleura above the first rib, and these are the costal margin, costal pleura, and the surrounding the hilum there is a mediastinal pleura, and below there is a diaphragm showing by the arrow. This is the diaphragmatic pleura. This is the suprapleural membrane attached to the C7 and below attached to the inner margin of the first rib, and it is overlapped by the subclavian artery and vein. This suprapleural membrane closely attached to the cervical pleura and apex of the lung. It provides protection to the cervical pleura and divide the thorax from the root of the neck. The second is the visceral layer. It is completely covered the outer surface of the lung except hilum, and along the attachment of the pulmonary ligament where it is continuous with the parietal pleura, extend into the depth of the interlamellar tissue. The next is pleural cuff. The two layers become continuous with one another by means of the cuff of the pleura. This cuff surrounds the structure entering and leaving the lung at the hilum. Pleural cuff hangs down as a loose fold called pulmonary ligament. And this pulmonary ligament extends from the root of the lung as far as the diaphragm between the lung and mediastinum. And this fold is filled with the loose areolar tissue. It also contains few lymphatic functions of the pulmonary ligament. It provides dead space by which pulmonary vein can expand during increased venous return. It allows descent of root of the lung. The next is pleural cavity and fluid. Parietal and visceral layers separated from each other by a slit-like space called pleural cavity, and this pleural cavity contains thin tissue fluid and the amount of this fluid 5 to 10 ml, and it provides permission to move two layers to each other. It lubricates the opposing surface of the visceral and parietal pleura during respiration, and formation of the fluid results from hydrostatic and osmotic pressure between the capillary. The pleural fluid is normally absorbed in the capillary of the visceral pleura. And here you can see the surface marking. The surface marking of the pleura. It is very important. The first point taken at the sternoclavicular joint. The sternoclavicular joint, then make a straight line on the right side up to the 7th costal cartilage, where the body of the sternum and xiphoid process meets, xiphi-sternal angle. On the left side, the point taken at the 4th costal cartilages, and 4th to 6th you can see a shallow groove. It is 3.5 to 4 cm from the midline. It forms a cardiac notch, and from here on the right side you can see the reflection of the green line. It reaches up to the 10th costal cartilages. The first point is taken at the 8th costal cartilage. The line drawn from the midpoint of the mid-clavicular line, the second point at the 8th costal cartilage. This is the joining of the line by the dotted. This next point at the 10th costal cartilage. Again, line draw from the two fold of the axilla. There is a mid-axillary line. Reaches up to the 10th costal cartilage. Third point at the posterior aspect, the reflection of the pleura at the level of the T12, 2 cm lateral to T12 at the lateral border of the erector spinae muscle. So these are the joining of the line. In the above aspect, on the upper part, just above the clavicle, 2.5 cm above the clavicle at the medial end, and 5 cm above the first costal cartilage. So these are the line joined, green color line showing the reflection of the pleura. And between the lung and the pleura there is a gap, costodiaphragmatic recess. And on the left side you can see there is a cardiac notch. Here the pericardium is directly related with the anterior abdominal wall. This is the bare area of the heart. And line showing in red color, this is the surface marking of the lung. Again there is the same point taken from the sternoclavicular joint up to the 6th costal cartilage. In place of the 7, there is a 6th costal cartilage on the right side. And it is the same on the left side, 4th costal cartilage. Again drawing a cardiac notch. So you can see On the inferior aspect of the lung, there is a mid-clavicular line, the point taken at the sixth costal cartilage, and the mid-axillary line at the eighth costal cartilage. So there is a two ribs difference between the lower margin of the lung, and there is a lower margin of the pleura. So this gap is about 5 centimeter in length, and this angle is known as costodiaphragmatic recess. So it is very important surface marking of the lung and pleura. The pleura from the anterior view, purple color showing the lung, and this yellow color showing the pleura. On the posterior view, you can see here on the posterior view, this is the margin at the level of the T12. The pleura extends below the T12th rib posteriorly, so it is important approaching the kidney surgically from behind. So there is a 5 site where pleura extend beyond the thoracic cage in the following area. On the right side, right Giffey-costal angle, right and left costo-vertebral angle, right and left side of root of neck as cervical dome of pleura. It is important because normally the pleura injured at these sites during surgical procedure. So you should remember these sites. Recesses of pleura. The fold of the parietal pleura, which act as reserve space for lung to expand during the inspiration. Costodiaphragmatic recess, costomediastinal recess. So this is the costodiaphragmatic recess. The line between the costal and diaphragmatic pleura it measure about 5 cm. Vertically extend from 8 to 10th rib. So during inspiration, the lower margin of lung descend into the recesses. During expiration, the lower margin of lung ascend, so that costal and diaphragmatic pleura comes together again. So this recess important for the paracentesis in case of the pleural effusion. Costomediastinal recess are situated along the anterior margin of the pleura. They are slit-like space between the costal and mediastinal parietal pleura. During expiration and inspiration, the anterior border of the lung slide in and out of the recess. Nerve supply very important. The parietal pleura is sensitive to pain, and this pulmonary pleura or visceral pleura supplied by the automatic nerve, so it is insensitive to pain. This parietal pleura, the costal and peripheral part of the diaphragmatic pleura supplied by the intercostal nerve, but mediastinal pleura and central part of the diaphragmatic pleura supplied by the phrenic nerve, and visceral pleura supplied by the autonomic nerve. Sympathetic nerve, 2nd to 5th, sympathetic ganglia, parasympathetic nerve, vagus nerve. The sympathetic dilate the bronchi and parasympathetic narrow the bronchial tree, and it is also secretory to gland. You can see in this diagram the cervical and costal part of the parietal pleura innervated by the intercostal nerve, visceral pleura by the autonomic nerve. On inner side, mediastinal and central part of the diaphragmatic part of the parietal pleura, which is shown in the dotted line, innervated by the phrenic nerve. Blood supply and lymphatic drainage. This parietal pleura supplied by the intercostal, internal thoracic, musculophrenic artery, and veins drain into the azygos and internal thoracic veins. Lymphatic drainage in the intercostal, internal mammary, posterior mediastinal, and the diaphragmatic nodes. And visceral pleura, like the lung, is supplied by the bronchial artery, while the vein, bronchial vein, and drained by the bronchopulmonary lymph nodes. Now the clinical anatomy. First is paracentesis thoracic. Aspiration of the fluid from the pleural cavity It is done in the 8th intercostal in the mid-axillary line. This question asked in the Viva. The needle is passed through the lower part of the space to avoid injury to peripheral this principal neurovascular bundle, vein, artery and the nerve. Pleurisy. Pleurisy means inflammation of the pleura and collection of the fluid in the pleural cavity is known as the pleural effusion. Pneumothorax, presence of air. Hemothorax means presence of blood. Hydropneumothorax, presence of both fluid and air. You can see in this diagram, this is the pleural effusion. In the pleural effusion, you can see the presence of the fluid in the costodiaphragmatic angle. Normally, there is a 5 to 10 ml of the fluid present, but in case of the pleural effusion, there is a more accumulation of fluid in the pleural cavity, and it occurred due to the inflammation of the pleura. And clinically, it can be detected with the breath sound and dullness on the percussion on the site of the effusion. Next is paracentesis or aspiration of the pleural effusion. It is done at the level of the 8th intercostal space and prevent the vein, VAN, vein, artery and nerve. Pneumothorax. In case of the pneumothorax, you can see accumulation of air in the pleural cavity due to the damage of the thoracic wall. And this pneumothorax is characterized by the collapse of the lung on the affected side and the compression of the lung on the healthy side. This is the diagram showing hydropneumothorax, presence of both fluid and air. You can see in this X-ray on the right side, there is an arrow which shows the straight line showing the hydropneumothorax. In case of the pleural effusion, this yellow arrow showing the curved margin, only the fluid present in the thoracic cavity. So this shows the pleural effusion.